Every year we start with a list, a plan, a word, or an idea of things we hope to accomplish during the year. So these are my crafty intentions for 2021. Hello and welcome to episode 96 of the Crochet Cakes podcast. This is a podcast all about my crafty endeavors, and if you've never tuned into the Crochet Cakes channel before, then hello and welcome. In my channel you can find my podcast and vlogs as well as some tutorials. Welcome to the first episode of 2021. In this new year, I wanted to start by walking you through the crafty intentions that I have for 2021. And I'm calling them crafty intentions because I do have different intentions for various areas of my life. But in terms of this YouTube channel, there are certain things that I want to do moving forward with the YouTube channel. So for the podcast, I would like to have more how-to videos, not really tutorials, just videos showing you the process of making a garment or things like that, because sometimes I feel that my podcast is a bit too show and tell, and it's actually more tell than show, and I would actually like to show you this process, show you me making these decisions, talk you through them, and things like that. I also want to do some style videos because I want to share with you how I incorporate crochet into my daily life and my wardrobe and my house, even though, we're not really leaving the house. And I just want to share that part of my crafty life with you as well, especially because one of the things that I enjoy the most is maybe not necessarily making my crochet piece, but styling my crochet piece. So I want to share that with you, and that will also be a blog post, but more on my website, Crafty Intentions, later on. I also want to do some tutorials for you guys. I often have my Spanish viewers asking for tutorials, and they're not really my forte. Tutorials are not something I enjoy doing, and they actually stress me out a lot, but I do have some tutorials planned that I've given a lot of thought to it. Some of those include a hat pattern that I did a reel for, and now I actually filmed a tutorial and I'm going to write a pattern for it. And another idea that I have is for the different types of sleeves and how to work with them. So that one's going to be a little more elaborate because that will require me showing a project with these sleeves and how I work with it. So those are just some of the ideas for the YouTube channel, and the biggest change of all is that I have separated my content. So I have now done crochet cakes en español for those of you who want to follow my Spanish podcast or my Spanish tutorials, or for those of you that speak Spanish, hay un nuevo canal. It's crochet cakes en español, and it's going to be where I upload my content in Spanish moving forward. So that one's already there. The only thing you will find there right now is episode number 5 of the Spanish podcast, because I have deleted from my archives the previous content and I couldn't download them from YouTube, so they're just gonna stay in my English channel, but hopefully I'll be able to upload the tutorials soon as well. So that's the biggest change for the YouTube channel, and that is already underway. And because I really want to just provide you guys with more crafty content and things like that, I have divided my crafty intentions into, as I've already mentioned, the YouTube channel, and pleasure crochet is another of my crafty intentions, and I'm calling it pleasure crochet because I'm trying to differentiate between the crochet I do for work and the crochet I do just to unwind and relax. So whenever possible, I want to work from my stash, and I've addressed this the previous year, and I've addressed that it's difficult when you're trying to become like a magazine crochet designer or something like that to work from your stash, because sometimes we accumulate the yarns and they'll be discontinued. So because of that, I'm going to repurpose my stash and kind of assign most of the quantity of yarn that I have to my relaxing pleasure crochet. And it's not going to be a punishment. I will not, put my head in the freezer whenever I buy yarn or when I do buy yarn, because as I said, I will be having a work stash and a relaxing crochet stash. So adding to the work stash is inevitable because you want to make sure that you're using yarns that are current and not yarns that have been discontinued, which is something I tended to do when I was building my stash. And don't get me wrong, it's a great way to build your stash. But if you don't have a stash, my advice to you is to build it with a purpose. And our purposes change. So sometimes we add yarn to our stash and we really are into a certain color palette during a time of our lives. And then coming back to it 3 years later, you're just looking at your yarn going, why did I buy this? So that is perfectly normal, We change, sometimes even in one day, we are 5 different people. That is okay. What I plan on doing with yarns in my stash that I'm just looking at them and going, why? Maybe put them up as giveaway prizes because I'm sure somebody out there will like them, or maybe selling them in my Etsy store or exchanging them on Ravelry, things like that. Just little ideas of how we can repurpose our stash and kind of not look at it from the punishment sort of perspective, but from the creative perspective. Because I think that when you really just dedicate yourself and have a mindset of stash busting, you can get so creative with it. And speaking of, stash busting and things like that, I've gone through my stash and I've just designated what do I have garment quantities of yarn for and all these sock yarns for. So for the sock yarns, I do have a design that's in process. It's in the process of a swatch. That's where it is, but it will come to you guys and I'm very excited to share that with you because it's a great kind of fade stash busting project as well. And in terms of, and one of the completed projects that I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit later in the podcast is a stash busting project that I think would be perfectly workable in a fingering weight yarn or any yarn that you want to stash bust with, honestly. So in terms of my other crafty intentions, this one's a bit more work related. It's my website. I do want to continue improving my website. I have a lot of ideas on what I want the website to be, but I currently lack the knowledge to get it there. So that's something that's going to have to happen. In terms of my blog, I do have some design posts planned. I do have some tips and tricks planned, and I really want to start getting into experience posts because they're kind of like a review. So I share with you the thoughts of what I liked about this pattern, what I didn't like about this pattern, what I changed about the pattern, why I changed that. So just things like that to give you an idea. I have done this in the past once. I did it for the My Secret Garden Dress, which is a pattern designed by Cassie Ward, which was featured in issue 100 or 101 of Inside Crochet. And I just shared with you the process of making that project and how I worked it up in terms of changing the yarn. How did that affect my overall experience with it? And I think these types of reviews are helpful because sometimes you may be on the fence about a pattern, especially if it's a paid for pattern, and reading somebody's thoughts is super helpful. And I know that not everybody uses Ravelry because Ravelry does have the notes feature where you can just add to that. But I wanted to have it on my website as well in case anybody was interested and not using Ravelry, and just to have it out there and be part of the community. So in terms of trying to achieve all these crafty intentions and even just intentions in my life, I've actually written down the intentions because I want to be very committed to them this year. And I've once again started with the idea of a hope basket. In the previous podcast, I mentioned this. I mentioned that I had January of last year, 2020, I had started a hope basket with, patterns that I wanted to complete, and I had put the patterns and the yarns in my little basket. So I've done that again this year, and you can see that I am adding the Treasure Island shawl with some yarn that's been in my archive on my stash for a long time. It was a gift from a lovely viewer of the podcast. And I've also have my Alice in Wonderland yarn, but the Alice in Wonderland yarn will be frogged. There is a sock ongoing, but I don't remember where I was or anything, and I'm not too developed in my knitting to be able to try to count and all that. So I'm just going to frog it, and I'm going to be making the open socks from Emma Potter and Bloom. And I also added yarn for the sword socks, which is also a design by Potter and Bloom, and I'm very excited to use it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous yarn, and I hope that by doing a 56 stitch sock, I will have enough yarn left over to make a crochet sock, because I think it's just good to see how yarns can work up both in crochet and in knitting. And I especially like Anna's yarn. This is Stitchcraft and Wizardry. I specifically like her going to her website because she does swatches for both knitting and crochet, and she does them in little embroidery hoops, so they're like wall art, and it gives you an idea of how it's gonna work up, and that's super helpful. So as you saw, I only have a couple of projects in my hope basket. I'm not gonna overwhelm myself by adding everything in there and then just it becoming a punishment of, look at that, you just added all these items into your hope basket and you never worked anything. So I don't want it to become that. The other reason I haven't added too many is because I have to be mindful that designing is what I'm applying for, because when you design and have a design in progress, you send it to a magazine or whatever, you're essentially applying for a job. So that's my job now, applying for jobs. And I want to be very conscious of that and allow myself enough time in the creative process to develop new designs, because the designs I develop for magazines will not be the designs I include in my blog unless they're rejected and nobody wants them. Then they'll also be included in my blog. So in terms of crafty intentions, that is it. The other intentions, I haven't really picked up a word. I've more of picked up ideas, because I think where I was failing with my intentions was the words. They just it's not that they weren't meaningful, it's that they were easy to forget. So in terms of intentions, I've written them down in my bullet journal. It's more of a planner because I've always been intimidated by how cute everybody makes their bullet journals, and that's just not me. So I wrote down my words for the year, and then I wrote down intentions for these words. And my words are do, love, gratitude, connection, and purpose. And this was actually a Instagram post that was shared by Claudia of Sunbird Crochet, and it was pick the first four words that you find in this picture will be your words for the year. And I actually picked 5 because when I reposted, I found another word, and I wrote them down, as I said, and then I wrote down intentions for these words that will accompany me throughout the year. And they are do what I love, show gratitude for what I have and what I've done, connect with my inner self to better connect with the universe and the people around me, and move forward with purpose. So those are my intentions, and I wanted to put this question to you guys. Do you have any intentions for this year? How do you handle these intentions? Do you write them down? Maybe you make a beautiful poster out of it and hang it somewhere that you see all the time? Or maybe you embroider it, like that time that Chrissy Crafts did an embroider along where we embroidered the word for the year. I still like that idea, actually. I don't know if I'll endeavor to do it, but I've at least written down my intentions, and I look at them every day, and I try to reflect every day on if I've at least done one of these 5 intentions. Four, because there are 5 words, but 4 intentions. Math. I do, however, want to share with you some crafty content because I don't just want to leave you hanging in terms of crochet or leave you hooked. Sorry, that was horrible. So in these last couple of days that I've been MIA from my podcast, which I don't think it's even been 2 weeks, honestly. But anyway, I have completed things and I've shared these on Instagram. So if you do not follow me on Instagram and you want to, please do. It's where I'm most active, quite honestly. It is. So the first thing I will share with you is my Oddments cardigan, which is I've done for the Oddments Cardi Cow, which is a cow that I am co-hosting with my mom, Mind and Muse Crafts, with the help of Rosina of Scenes and Roger. And the idea behind it was to create something with Rosina's recipe for the JW Anderson Cardigan, which is the cardigan Harry Styles made like super famous, and it was done in primary school colors that were not attractive at all. But Rosina's version was much more attractive, much more palatable. And so I joined Mom on hosting this cow, and we're gonna get together soon to have a little chat of when it's going to end, because it's been a very informal crochet along. It's just been fun to sit together and craft, essentially. So this is the finished cardigan. I know you can't really appreciate it. It's a lot. It's too much for the screen. So I will insert some pictures of me wearing it, maybe a split the screen. But I just need to show you my favorite sleeve, and I think I shared this with you already. It's this puff. It's eyelash yarn, glitter eyelash yarn. And this is a very scrappy cardigan, and this is one of the projects that I was telling you, if you have a lot of fingering weight yarn left over in your stash but you don't fancy making a blanket, I think this one's a great stash busting project, because all you have to do is take your gauge and if you want to follow Rosina's pattern, just see how many stitches and rows will get you to, in my case I did 4-inch squares, in Rosina's case she did 5-inch squares. But I think the 4-inch squares were plenty for me. The only thing that really pisses me off about what I made is that this neckband up here in the collar, you see it's very floppy. So when I wear it, I just unintentionally look like I'm trying to be sexy because it just falls off. Anyway. Just because it's a new year doesn't mean I'm going to be any less ridiculous. Just putting that out there. So yeah, I used a lot of yarns. I have some 100% wool yarns. I have 100% acrylic. Yep, that's pretty much it. 100% acrylic and 100% wool yarns. And I have all sorts of colors, but I did try to stick to a color palette, which I guess isn't really a color palette, because I tried to put together yarns that I had that would go well together. They were all scrappy. No new balls were harmed in the making of this. Well, that's a lie. This one was new, and this one was new, as in they were full balls, but they were gone when I finished, so that was good. And the neckband and cuffs and all that, I had about 2 balls of it left over from another project, so it does take quite a bit. And I am intending on at some point going back and cutting this part and just decreasing the number of stitches to try and get it to be a better fit around the neck so I can actually use it. So this is finished object numero uno. Finished object numero dos, I do not actually have it with me, and I'll tell you why. I don't have it with me because they were the socks. They were the lightning strike socks, which were which is a pattern by Sandra of Cherry Heart, and I finished them. They were for my husband, and I did manage to finish them on 3 Kings Day, and I gave them to him as a gift. And I made them using Patton's Croy sock, which is I love it. It's a gorgeous plump sock yarn, and I don't have anything bad to say about it. This colorway is blue striped rag. I don't know why I thought it was ragdoll. It's blue striped rag, and it's stripes, micro stripes, I would say it's called. They're all have some form of gray twined in them, but we've got blue, like gray, yellow, red, and kind of this coppery orange. And I'll insert a picture of my husband wearing them here because, as I said, I don't have them. Now, the socks, there's nothing wrong with the pattern. It just drove me a little bit crazy because you're supposed to have the design on the outside of the sock, right? There's just a line going down that forms a lightning strike on the side of the sock. And it just, my brain, just even thinking about it, just because you had to decide on like, where do I put my heel so that it's on this side and not, anyway, it was intense. It was intense. So those are my finished objects in terms of items that I was carrying over from 2020. Obviously, I still have the Spicier Life blanket. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of turning it into a sweater, and then I thought I should frog it, and then I thought make a blanket, and I don't know where I'm going with it, to be honest. So that one's back in the review board. But something that I did bring back from the land of finished objects is a top that I had finished 2 years ago, because part of my crafty intentions it's just to make things with purpose, right? And I really like the garments that I make, but sometimes after they're finished, I think, oh, this would have been better this way, or I loved it when I made it and now it's just not really my style and I don't feel comfortable wearing it. So I've made a little pile of items that I want to frog and remake the same pattern, remake it just to fit my current style. And the first one that I have done that with is the Top Amelia, which is a free pattern by Susie Mew. If you read crochet charts, it's charted, so you just have to follow the chart. So even if you don't speak Spanish, you're good to go if you follow a chart. So I started it. This is what I have until now, because one of the things I didn't really like about the pattern was that the neck opening was too wide and it really fell off my shoulders, and I did not appreciate that. That's not my style. And it also made it a little bit uncomfortable to move your arms. So I had ideas on how I would fix this, and that's what I've gone with. So I started with a 3mm hook doing foundation double crochet, unlike the chains that the pattern calls for. And I did that with a 3mm hook because I find that when you're doing, at least when I do foundation double crochet, it stretches a gazillion times more than it should. And then when you actually start crocheting, you get like this little tapering at the edges, and I don't really like that. And of course, if I wanted the neckband to be smaller, I should make that happen. So I did a 3mm hook, and this is still the same yarn that I made the top originally. I'll insert a picture of me wearing said top. And this yarn is the Bernat Comfy Baby Cotton, which is 50% cotton, 50% acrylic in the Granny Smith colorway. And this is just the bright neon green, and you saw some of that in the cardigan that I made because I had a lot left over. I have made this Top Amelia in it, and then I made the As If Tea in it, and I also had enough yarn left over to add several squares to the cardigan. Let's see, I think I added just in the front, you see there is 1, 2, and then in the sleeves there's 1 and 2 on each sleeve, so 4 squares. Yeah, 4 squares. So that's about 40 grams. Right, so back to, oh my gosh, I lost the piece I was sharing with you guys. Oh, it's on the floor. I got it. So back to this Top Amelia. I started, I wasn't gonna frog, so I just found what I thought was my end, and I started ripping back, and working from it. And then at some point, I had to cut and stop frogging because I don't know how I wove in those ends, but it was a mess. So now I'm just frogging the top, and you can still see, since it's top down, you can see the construction of it. It's finished. This was finished. So now I'm just ripping back and remaking the top Amelia to be more to my liking. And what I mean by that is, one of the things I didn't like, as I said, it's too wide. So I'm going to bring it in. I wanted more arm movement, so I'm going to go with a different joining for the underarm area. I think what I'm going to probably do is work some chains and then leave that opening, kind of gaping opening, instead of just this there. So yeah, those are my plans for the foreseeable future, not counting designs in progress. I have 4 designs in progress. I have 5 designs in progress. 4 will hopefully be magazine submissions, and 1 will be for the blog. Wait, no, sorry. I lied, I have 6. 2 for the blog, 4 for magazines, and I really need to have more going, because if you've ever tried submitting to magazines, there's tiers that you, that for payment, right? Depending on the complexity of what you are submitting to the magazine. And $250 a month, if you, let's say a garment, if you do a garment or a blanket, and you get paid $250 for that a month. I can't live off $250 a month. So there'll have to be several magazine submissions to kind of make this work, which is scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's scary, but also kind of fun to really be broaching this new aspect of my life. And yeah, crochet style, guys, crochet style. So that is all the crafty content I have for you today. Other things that I wanted to share with you are, of course, my reading goals. I am a reader, if you do not know, which I never talk about books, almost never, so you may not know. But you probably could join me in this endeavor of, or not endeavor, but maybe you have the similar problem. You just tend to have books in your Kindle that you wanted to read at some point, but you never read, and then they just stay in your Kindle and you never read them. So one of my goals is to read at least 5 books that are in my Kindle that I bought ages ago and just never finished. And I finished one. I finished The 100th Queen, which was an audiobook, so that's why I was able to finish it, because while I was working on one of my designs, I just had this voice in the background. But I do remember the plot and everything, so I was paying attention. And what are my thoughts on The 100th Queen? It was an interesting book. I didn't remember that it was part of a series, so that's a tiny bit disappointing. But it really talks a lot about women and their role in this fictional society, and how the main character wants to just be in charge of her own destiny and her own life, really. So it was interesting. The one thing I didn't really appreciate is that, you know, it was first person reading, and that's not me. I don't really enjoy first person narrative. And other things, and last night I binged Bridgerton, like all the world. And I say binged, but I'm missing 2 episodes to finish it, and I think I'm getting a little bit too old to binge. I don't know, that's the way I feel. I'm not saying that binging is limited to age or anything like that. No sir, no ma'am, no gentleman, no, just no. I was just saying, personally, going to sleep at midnight because I was binging TV gave me a headache, okay? It was not nice. And waking up, I felt hungover. It was horrible. It was horrible. Although the hungover feeling might have been that I had 3 glasses of wine. Who knows? So I did watch that, and I find it really funny that it's #1 in the US, because I I feel like people don't really read romance novels, and this is a romance novel, but you're okay watching it. It's not that people don't really read, but so I don't know if this happened to you, but when I was like devouring romance novels, I used to be embarrassed about telling people that that's what I read, so I kind of just, it was my dark little secret. Not anymore, because I just shared it with you guys. But yeah, you probably know about that. And other than that, God, I don't even know what to say, because I guess I'll start or finish with, I almost didn't record this podcast because I was feeling very conflicted about what is going on. And actually, I'm not feeling conflicted. I'm feeling angry about what's going on in the United States right now. I am very angry, and it's just, this is not a political podcast, and it will never be a political podcast, but I am a person. I have views, I have thoughts, I have ideas. I think that's why I watch this podcast, you know, for my crafty ideas, but I do have other ideas. And I just call it what it is. What? Storming the Capitol. Just, what? So that's also contributed to my binging Bridgerton, because I wanted something lighthearted and just, kind of. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts for some things. Those are some of my... Now I don't know what to say. This always happens when I try to express myself in thoughts and ideas and things. I get tongue-tied. The other thing I can share with you, I got glasses. Yeah, prescribed glasses. These are not just computer glasses. These are Clarissa needs glasses to see stuff up close now. So that's me. I think that's why I also got a headache, because they're meant to help me be able to focus on computer screens and things like that as well, which of course works when you're up close like that, but it doesn't really work when it's the TV, and I got a headache. Anyway, I think I am just rambling now, so I'm gonna cut this off here, and I'm gonna thank you for joining me in this podcast. Oh, no, wait. Guys, super important announcement. If you have ever been to the Waltham Abbey show or would like to go, it is virtual, so feel free to go purchase tickets. But I was invited to participate in their podcast Zoom lounge, virtual lounge. So I am 3 p.m. British Standard Time, or British Winter Time. It's 3 p.m. whatever time that is, in like 3 p.m. 3 p.m. in the UK, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the UK on Sunday, January the 17th. I will be in the podcast lounge, and I am so excited to have been asked to participate. This is the first time I've been asked to participate, and I'm so excited. So yes, if you would like to chat with me or ask me any questions, I will be there answering them. I believe the way they are doing it is that you email or send in your questions, and they will ask them from us in the podcasting lounge. So that will be really fun. You do need a virtual ticket to enter, their virtual marketplace, their Facebook Lives, and participate in all these events. But I'm just so excited, and I hope that you are too, and that you come have a real live face-to-face, screen-to-screen chat with me on that day if you would like. Obviously, I'm not pressuring you to do anything. And speaking of if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed and would like to keep up to date with my content, then please subscribe. Si habla español and you would like to subscribe to my Spanish channel, then it's Crochet Cakes en Español. I will link all that down below, and I'll have timestamps for the different things that I'm talking about down below as well. And if you like what I do and would like to say thank you or show your support in any way, visit my blog, visit my website. I'm hoping to get some ad revenues going in terms of money, which is honestly not as good as you might think. And yeah, oh yeah, I do have Ko-fi. So if you would like to show your appreciation that way, then please do so. It's, yeah, let's just have fun crafting together. And my parting thought was actually going to be that I'm feeling very, not okay with the way things are going in terms of what's happening all around us every single day of our lives. So I wanted to ask how you would feel about running a year-long CAL, a charity CAL, where we crochet, knit, weave, whatever. We make things to give to charity. And it doesn't have to be a charity that I pick. Whatever charity you want to donate and give to, that is more than welcome. So if you are interested in this type of CAL where we crochet together to make the world a better place, then please let me know in the comments below. And I guess you'll only let me know if you actually made it to the whole 40 minutes of this podcast. So thank you for tuning in until the very end, and just happy crafting, guys. One big hug from me to you in this and every day of the year 2021. Bye.